Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're gonna make a quick tutorial video and I'm gonna show you how I make these. So quickly before we jump into the video today, I just wanted to say I know I haven't been uploading a lot recently and it's because I have a good excuse. I have a really good excuse. It's because of this little one right here. Say hi. Hi. Her name is Winnie. We just got her a couple weeks ago and she has been a time consumer. Okay, let's put her down and let's jump in, shall we? Before we get started, you need to get a clip where you feel like there is some energy involved. The clip is what really sells the effect. The reason why I made this video is because I saw this, immediately thought, oh my God, this is perfect for a Super Saiyan. He's like even building up the energy and then jumps and explodes. It's a perfect clip. If you just did this on somebody that wasn't really into it, I don't know if it would work as much. You could probably still make it work, but it would be a lot harder. So first things first, I'm gonna jump into Premiere because what we need to do is we need to take our clip and convert it into a JPEG sequence so that we can animate using those frames. I'm gonna take the clip that I want to turn into Super Saiyan and I'm gonna take the minimum amount of frames possible that I think I'll need to use. Okay, so I know that's kind of where I want it to start and I want it to end right before he talks. So there we go. We have a 4-second, 9-frame clip. So I'm gonna just go ahead and press Command M. In the export window, there's a drop-down menu in the format section and you have all these different options. We're gonna pick JPEG. We're gonna do JPEG sequence match source. And then I'm gonna put this into a specific folder, JPEG sequence. Create that, save, export. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into Adobe Animate. Now, this is the first time I've used this program. I usually use Photoshop, but I had some technical difficulties on importing videos, so I started to use this, and I actually like this a lot better. So we're gonna go ahead and create new. I like to use full HD because I know that the final upload is gonna be 1080. From here, go to File, Import, Import to Stage. So all you have to do is go to your JPEG sequence that you just created and just select one image because it will intelligently find that this is in fact a sequence and does all the rest of the work for you. So I know I don't want to animate it until he gets to what I call the apex of the Saiyan. I want him to really explode probably right there because he's got the most hair movement right there. With that being said, we need one thing. So I'm sure you know what this is. This is a Wacom, I forget which model this is, but I'll link it in the description below. I think it ends up costing like 50 bucks or something like that, so it's really affordable. It's vital for me to use this to hand draw the hair that we're gonna be needing to make. Okay, so this is gonna show how little I know about this particular program. I just started learning about it like 3 days ago, so bear with me if you know how to use this. I apologize in advance. So I know I'm gonna need a new layer, so let's go ahead and create one of those. Now over here on your left, it's kind of like Photoshop. You have all your tools as far as your brushes and your paint bucket and all that kind of stuff. So I know I'm gonna need a brush. The size of it, I guess that's gonna be good. The fill, I'm gonna make it something kind of bright, obnoxious yellow. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a new layer. I'm gonna go to what I'm calling the apex, which is right about there. And we're gonna go ahead and select our brush tool on the left. I'm gonna draw him in some hair. I'm also gonna come back in, I'm gonna surround his face because I want these lines to meet up so that we can go in and fill it later. So now that that's complete and that's looking good, I'm gonna go over here to the left panel, or you can press K on the keyboard. And I'm gonna come over here and fill it in. There we go, nice. So if you get back down to the timeline, this is the part where I know I'm showing my, I think I'm showing my lack of knowledge on this program. Here, my workaround to making a new layer for every single frame was to set a keyframe, which is this little button icon down here. I'm gonna set a keyframe right there, select these front bits, and delete that. And then I'm also going to come over here and also delete those. So now we only have one layer that's turned off. Again, like I said, I don't know if that's the correct way to do it. It's just the way that I found out how to do it. So I'm going to continue going forward. The great thing about using this program versus Photoshop is that they have this thing called an onion skin. So it shows you a selected window of what you've just drawn so that you can continue drawing a similar shape. You go down and press the lock symbol next to the footage layer. It'll turn off that purple haze so that you can continue working inside of this. Also, another thing I like to do is if you go over here to the layer 3, here, let me just go ahead and label these. Let's see, footage, just so I don't have to keep saying layer 1, layer 3. This one is hair. So if we go back to the hair layer, right here, there's like a little rectangle. If you click on that, it shows, it's like the wireframe. So instead of having to see like and draw over this kind of faded out previous layer, you can just see the outline of it. So it's much easier to draw over. So kind of know the basic shape. I'm gonna go back to my brush tool and I'm gonna try and create something that's a little bit similar. Again, I'm outlining the head, closing that gap. Now I'm gonna go back into using my paint bucket tool and press in the center. And there we go. We've got our second layer. I'm gonna turn off the onion so I can see the difference. And so what I did from here was continued on animating for the next, how many frames is this? Probably 50 frames or so. So once you're finished creating all your frames, drawing all your frames, filling in the hair, we're gonna go in and make one more layer. So up next, we gotta draw his eyes. I like this color over here. If you go into the side over here in the top right, you can zoom in and I'm gonna start drawing his eyes. Now the way I draw his eyes, I like to start in the center where his eyelid is. I like to go in here and I like to kind of draw basically a rough triangle. I feel like it makes his eyes like a little bit more sinister as opposed to like round and bubbly and sweet looking. Once you are finished with all of this and you have completed all of your frames, what I did was I went in and I turned off the video. So you had the hair and the eyes in there, but no video footage. Went to File, Export, I think I did Movie. All right, so once we finish with that, let's jump into After Effects and let's get the real fun part going. First, I'm gonna bring in my footage and I'm also gonna bring in my animation export that I just did. And here you see it comes in as a sequence. So I'm gonna drag the footage into a new comp. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna drop in my sequence over the top of it and line this sucker up. Now all you should have to do is just slip it in. As you can see, that's exactly where that's supposed to be. The fun part is to go onto YouTube because there are a ton of videos out there you can put on top of this. All you have to do is go on YouTube and type in Super Saiyan overlays and there's pages and pages and pages of like green screen footage, all sorts of stuff that you can put over the top of it. Pick whichever ones you want to use. This footage right here is great because it looks like it's like power up footage, and as you can see, we turn this into a screen mode. Gets rid of the black background. That looks good. Let's see. Perfect. Nice. So the next thing I did was I added in a layer of this is just smoke. So whenever he lands, it looks like there's kind of an impact. So right when his feet touch, I'm gonna have this come up. Nice. I'm gonna scale this down a little bit. I also know I want to change the smoke to like kind of instead of this dark gray, I just want it to be like white and gray. So I'm just gonna go into my effects menu and invert it, and there you go. It's that simple. The only thing is I feel like we need to take down the opacity. I just want it to blend in more, so I'm gonna take that down to 25%. So now the other thing is you see that it's like the smoke is over his legs right here. And I do not want that. I want it to look like he is on top of this. So we're gonna go into our footage. We're gonna duplicate it, press Command Shift D, to cut right there, and we are gonna rotoscope this. But before we roto this, we have to think about what we want to add as well to this shot before we roto, because with your workflow is everything. A lot of times, like if I just rotoed out just his feet, later if I needed to have rotoed out his entire body, which I'm about to show you why we want to do that, you would have wasted a lot of time. So I know I want to add in the traditional like Super Saiyan power-up effect. I'm going to drag this into the footage, and I want it to explode right as he's exploding. So bam, right there. That's when I want this to fully explode, which is right there. All right, so in order to get rid of this green, this is just green screen footage. I'm gonna go into my effects tab and type in key light, double click that with the footage layer selected. And I'm gonna go click on this little eyedropper tool and click on the green, and voila, there we go. So, like I was saying earlier, if I had just rotoed out his feet and not his whole body, then I would have had to roto out his feet, then go back and roto out his whole body. The most important part is to plan out what you're gonna be doing. Figure it out first before you go in and do these tedious tasks that help the overall look of your footage, but don't waste time. So I know I need to start rotoing from right here because his body's completely gone. So I'm gonna duplicate the footage. I'm gonna bring it up to the top, and I'm gonna press Command-Shift-D. And I know I need to roto from here to the very end. So I'm gonna double click on this layer, go up in the top left of my tools, click on the roto brush, and start rotoing without making you watch this whole thing. I went ahead and rotoed out his entire body already and exported that with an alpha channel. Alpha channel means like there's no background. This is with it on, and this is him without being rotoed. See, he just disappears. You can't see him. This is with it turned back on. Bam, look how good that looks. I'm gonna pre-compose all this footage by pressing Command-A to select everything and Command-Shift-C to pre-compose. I'll label this Super Saiyan. I'm gonna add a little camera shake. So I'm gonna go in my effects tab, type in camera shake. Now this is a universal plugin, universal red giant plugin. I pay for this. You don't have to pay for it. You don't even have to add this into your footage. I just like to do it because it adds a little bit more of realism to it. It's $29 a month. I use it for business, so it makes sense for me. You don't have to use this. You can make your own camera shake. This is just a tool that I have at my disposal. So I'm gonna just show you what I do. So once you've applied that, you can go to the preset, choose a preset. I like to use Earthquake for this because compared to all the other things, it's got the most shake built in already, so we can work backwards from there. So as you can see, that is way too much shake, way over the top. We don't need that. I'm gonna bring that down to like 30%. That's much better. Now I don't really want it to start shaking violently until we get to the apex of him exploding into the Super Saiyan. So I'm gonna go ahead and set a keyframe there. That's the max that it's gonna be. And then I'm gonna go to the front where he's powering up, and I'm gonna press and take that down to 0. So if you check out your keyframes by pressing U on the keyboard, you can select both of them, go to Keyframe Assistant and press Easy Ease. And that just helps ease it into the keyframes. Makes it look more natural. That's the final product. Now, I added in a lot more stuff in the Jablinski Games episode, but again, that's all based off preference. I'm not gonna show you everything that I did just because it's a lot of what I've shown you here. Everything that you've seen here, you can replicate in the video that I made on Jablinski Games. So, like this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these types of videos. I'm not good at ending these videos still. It's kind of becoming a thing.